What is up, college football fans? What is up, Clemson Tiger fans? Happy Sunday. You guys know what I say. Every day above ground is a great day as far as I'm concerned, and every day is a great day to be a Clemson Tiger. And today especially. Look, these are two bad teams, Clemson and Florida State. Coming into yesterday, they're both 3-5. Their ACC hopes are out the window. Their playoff hopes are out the window. Really, at this point, you're just playing for pride. And in Florida State's case, you're playing to keep your coach. Or if you don't like Mike Norvell, you might be rooting against him so he doesn't keep his job. There was only one coach on the field last night that is in jeopardy of getting fired, and that was Mike Norvell. I mean, all I've been hearing for the past 6 weeks is Dabo's on the hot seat. Dabo's going to leave to go to Florida or LSU or any of these job openings, Oklahoma State. I'm like, why? What? Dabo's not getting fired. I mean, some of you want him fired, and you're entitled to your opinion, but he's not getting fired, and he's not leaving. But a win over Florida State at home. First of all, this is the first game that Clemson has won against a Power 4 team since the first week of October last year against Virginia. That's fucking bad. But something told me, I've been telling you guys, for any of you who watch me regularly, I'm a degenerate gambler. I gamble on football every week. Right. I've been telling everybody, I don't know why you would bet on Clemson. I'm like, they've been favored in every game they've played for some reason, even though they're 3-5. But they've only covered the spread twice, I think, against North Carolina and Boston College, who are the two biggest dumpster fires in all of the ACC and maybe even in the country. But I woke up yesterday morning and I was laying in bed. And the gambling gods were shining upon Pete. And they said, hey, Pete. And I said, hey, gambling gods. And they said, bet your mortgage on Clemson today. And I said, okay, even though I know that Clemson's got all kinds of problems, and we'll talk about a lot of those problems today, I'm going to bet on Clemson. And I did. And I won. Fuck you, Florida State. People ask me, Pete, why do you hate Florida State so much? Here's the hierarchy for me, all right? I hate South Carolina with a passion. I grew up in this state, and it just is what it is. I can't explain it to people who didn't grow up in this state. You're either in South Carolina or you're Clemson, and everybody else can fuck off. That's pretty much how it goes down here. I hate South Carolina. A close second, though, is Florida State. Florida State and Clemson have been conference rivals since Florida State came into the ACC in 1991 with Bobby Bowden. And they ran the ACC for a long time. And I had to grow up here in South Carolina. It's bad enough that I have to suffer being around a bunch of coots, a bunch of Gamecocks year-round in this state. But in the 90s, I was in high school. And at that time, Florida State was relevant and worth a shit. And one of the best programs in the country, one of the best teams in the country year in and year out. And they ran the ACC. And I had to watch these jabronis who, I'm talking about people who grew up in South Carolina, never been to the state of Florida, don't have any ties to Florida State at all through family or geography or nothing. And they were bandwagon Florida State fans. And I had to go to school every year after losing to Florida State and hear these assholes get in my face and talk about how Clemson's trash and Florida State runs the country and runs the league and all this. I have been, my hate for Florida State has been seeding up and building for 30 years. More than 30 years. Those bandwagon bitches. They're insufferable, Florida State fans. I drove through Tallahassee on my way to Panama City Beach for the Slob Olympics a couple years ago. That was my first time in Tallahassee. Now, if there's a Florida State fan that's watching and you want to take Pigskin Pete to a game at Doak, I've never been there and I want to go. I would love to do it. But Tallahassee's garbage. If you're an alien and you're flying, you flew into Earth and somehow you ended up over the United States of America, somehow, just by chance. And you're like, well, where's all these capital cities of this great nation, right? Tallahassee and Columbia, South Carolina, have to be the two worst state capitals in the entire country. Imagine you're an alien and you come down here, you're looking for intelligent life, and you fly over Tallahassee and you're like, this is the capital of this great state of Florida? Well, if you're an alien, you just have to assume that everybody in Florida is fucking retarded. The same thing is if you're an alien and you fly over Columbia, South Carolina, this is a beautiful state I live in. Charleston, Greenville, Hilton Head, these are beautiful places in the country, not just in the state, in the world, really. And you fly over Columbia, South Carolina, and you're an alien, and you're like, these people chose this to be the capital of your great state? It's no wonder that aliens haven't made contact with us, because they look at Tallahassee and Columbia and they just automatically assume we don't know what the fuck we're doing. And we don't. All right, so as far as the game goes yesterday, obviously I'm happy we won. For all the Clemson sunshine pumpers out there, you might want to put your fingers in your ear or put your headphones on, or maybe just, go talk to your wife so she can drown out the noise in the background. I don't know what you got to do, but look, I'm happy Clemson won. I thought Cade Klubnik, despite the fact that he shouldn't have been playing at least half of that game because he was visibly hurt and limping, I thought he played a good game. I mean, he didn't have astronomical numbers or anything. I think he had like 200 something yards passing, a touchdown, 0, but he didn't turn the ball over. But this is the problem with NIL. And again, I'm not trashing Cade Klubnik. I thought he played a good game. There's not a lot that Cade Klubnik did yesterday that I'm going to complain about at all. I thought he played a good game. Now, obviously, he got the win. But when you pay a guy, I think Klubnik is the highest paid player on Clemson's team, outside of a couple of defensive linemen. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but Klubnik's making over $3 million this year to play football. Christopher Vezina is sitting in the background. And again, this isn't a guy who has no playing experience, who's new to the team. He's not a transfer. He's not inexperienced. We saw him start a couple of weeks ago, and he played well. And you've got a guy over here in Cade Klubnik who's obviously hurt. I just don't. This reminds me of 2017 Clemson when they went to Syracuse with Kelly Bryant. Kelly Bryant was visibly hurt coming out of the tunnel of that game. It wasn't like he got hurt on the first drive or second drive or even the third or fourth drive. He was hurt before the game started. And Dabo refused to put the backup in. And what happened? Kelly Bryant got a concussion because you know why? He was a sitting duck and he couldn't move around. Chase Bryce came in, saved the game. The rest is history. But that's besides the point. Why are you putting Cade Klubnik in this situation where he's got to run an offense on one leg when you have a perfectly capable backup quarterback in Christopher Vezina, who's got a lot of experience and now starting time at Clemson? I don't get that at all. I also think it was a very bad decision by Garrett Riley again. Talk about Garrett Riley in a minute. You're up 18-0 in the first half against Florida State. And instead of just committing to the run, which, by the way, at that point in the game, your running backs between Randall and Davidson are averaging 5 yards a carry. It's not like they weren't moving the ball on the ground, because they were. But still, here we go. Let's get up. 18 points. And instead of using the clock to our advantage and running the ball and just running the clock down and punishing the defense, which Florida State's defense was not playing well at all, We're just going to continue to do what Garrett Riley does, and empty back sets every 3 or 4 downs, empty back sets, bubble screen swing passes behind the line of scrimmage. It's just a script that you can't even make up unless you're Garrett Riley. Look, Clemson got lucky yesterday. I mean, I love the fact that Clemson won, and I love the fact that Cade Klubnik showed some heart, and I love the fact that this team rallied around themselves and didn't give up. It would have been easy to do that with a 3-5 start when you're Clemson and you had national title hopes. This team showed out. But to not run the ball like that is just mind-blowing. I am off the Garrett Riley. Most of you know this. I'm off the Garrett Riley train. I don't want Garrett Riley to be the head coach. I mean, not the head coach, the offensive coordinator, the play caller in 2026. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. Honestly, I don't. But I'm done with him. But Clemson got lucky in a lot of ways yesterday. This is an unfortunate truth that us Clemson fans have to look at. If you watch the game, I don't know what was going on with Thomas Castellanos and his receivers, but there's at least 3 plays where receivers dropped big-time catches, wide open receivers, dropped catches. A couple of them probably would have been touchdowns. And there was a couple of also wide open receivers that Castellanos just missed by a lot, like overthrew them or just missed them completely. And that might have been touchdown. If Florida State's offense would have been on key last night, they were off last night. This might have been a very different situation. It would have been a much closer game than 24-10, which is what the final score was. So there was a lot of issues to be looked at last night with Clemson. Again, they got to go on the road this week on Friday night in the ACC against Louisville. I know Louisville lost yesterday, but I still think that Louisville is maybe the best team in the ACC. And road games on a short week in a place like Louisville against a team like Louisville, I'm not feeling too great about that. Obviously, I want Clemson to win. That's without debate. I want Clemson to beat Louisville. I'm just not sold that they're going to do that. Clemson has to they have to beat Louisville and Furman. Well, they have to beat either Louisville or South Carolina and Furman to make a bowl game this year. So they can only afford one loss between Louisville and South Carolina. Both those games are on the road. If I'm being honest, I'm actually more confident that Clemson will beat South Carolina in the last week of November than I am that they'll beat Louisville on the road this Friday night. Short weeks on the road in the ACC are a problem. And I don't want to get some sort of false sense of hope that Clemson has somehow figured something out. Because even though they won last night, it wasn't immaculate. I mean, it wasn't like they dominated Florida State. I mean, I know it looks that way if you look at the first half score and you look at the final game score. It looks like Clemson dominated Florida State, but they really didn't. Florida State had a lot of self-inflicted wounds in this game. It could have been a lot different. So going on the road at Louisville is a big cause for concern. And I don't know, maybe Clemson can pull it out. But I don't know, man. I don't foresee Louisville making the amount of mistakes that Florida State made last night. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm rambling on now. All right, go Tigers, fuck the Noles. And also, and more importantly, hit the like button, the subscribe button, the hype button. Just run your hands across the keyboard and hit all of the buttons that matter, because YouTube really cares, even if your boy does not. And also, leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought about the game last night. What do you think about this week's game coming up against the bird with teeth? Y'all have a good one.